What's up, everyone? Welcome to the October 26th edition of the NBA Injury Report, brought to you by BetMGM. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And we have a 10-game NBA slate tonight, so not surprisingly, there are several questionable players that we need to take a look at. But first, we do have the BetMGM no-brainer. It's back. It briefly disappeared, but we have it back. And all you have to do to take advantage is click the link in the description below and then bet $10 on a pregame moneyline bet on BetMGM. If any player in that game hits a three-pointer, you'll get $200 in free bets from BetMGM. This offer is not available to residents of Pennsylvania, New York, Mississippi, or Ontario. But outside of that, if you're able to bet on BetMGM, click the link below, take advantage, make that $10 bet on a pregame money line, and get $200 in free bets when someone in that game hits a three-pointer. It's as close to free money as you're going to get, so be sure to take advantage if you're able. Now, taking a look at the injury report, we start with Scottie Barnes for the Toronto Raptors. He is listed as questionable. He missed the last game, and as a result, Koloko got the start, fouled out in about 17 and a half minutes. Didn't look like he was going to play a lot more than that anyway, and I wouldn't expect him to. Precious Achiuwa had a massive game off the bench, playing about 33 and a half minutes. He also had played a lot in the game where Scottie Barnes was initially injured. This is a trend that we saw last year when one of the main guys would go down as well. Either Precious Achiuwa or Chris Boucher would step up, and whether they started or not, would step up and play a lot of minutes in place of whichever player was injured. Boucher was in his first game back from injury. He played about 12 minutes. Like I said, Achiuwa got around 33. I think Achiuwa is ahead of Boucher in the rotation right now. I would expect him to play a lot of minutes again if Barnes is out, but do keep in mind that the healthier Boucher gets, the more of a dice roll it is which one of those guys is going to get the minutes. But either way, it does open minutes for them if Scottie Barnes is out. Miles Turner is questionable for Indiana. We've seen him out every game this season so far since he sprained his ankle in pregame warmups before the first night of the season. I don't think this has a huge impact on Indiana at this point from a DFS standpoint. I expect Jalen Smith to start regardless of Turner's status. I think that if Turner comes back, you're going to see Isaiah Jackson kicked back to the bench to be the backup center. Goga Bitadze's minutes most likely disappear. So if Turner is back, he himself is a decent tournament option just because he's relatively inexpensive and he does give you some upside, but it would make it so we don't have to play the guessing game of Isaiah Jackson, Goga Bitadze, both or neither. If he is out, you get to keep playing that guessing game because you have a 1.15 fantasy point per minute guy in Isaiah Jackson, most likely starting. You have a 1.05 fantasy point per minute guy in Goga backing him up. If Jackson's not in foul trouble and playing well, he can easily get into the mid-20s in minutes. If he is in foul trouble, you get more minutes for Goga. So if Turner's out, you just kind of get to keep gambling on those guys and hoping to strike gold in tournaments. If Turner is in, it kind of makes this front court easier because you don't have to deal with either one of them. And again, I don't expect it to have much of an impact on Jalen Smith. I think he is a high risk, high reward tournament play one way or the other. And for the Houston Rockets, Jae'Sean Tate is questionable tonight. If he is able to go, it would also be his first game of the season. So I don't know exactly what to make of it. Obviously, there are a lot of players on Houston that are going to be in this rotation. They have a lot of good young talent. My expectation, at least for right now, where Alperen Şengün and Bruno Fernando are both out, is that Tate would most likely cut into the playing time for Kenyon Martin Jr. Martin started last game, played about 35 minutes. He performed really poorly, but he is cheap enough where if Tate is out and Martin is starting again, you can use him as a tournament option and just hope that he's able to knock down some shots that he wasn't able to knock down last time. But if Tate comes back, I think it's likely that you get fewer minutes from Martin. Maybe you get a little bit less playing time for Eric Gordon as well. I don't expect Tate to have much of a negative impact on the main pieces here, like Kevin Porter Jr., Jabari Smith, or Jalen Green, but I do think he affects the secondary options just because he is likely to cut into their minutes. So to recap, the main three pieces of injury news that we are still waiting on: Scottie Barnes for the Raptors. Last game, we saw a lot of minutes for Precious Achiuwa after Christian Koloko got the start. I expect more of the same here, although Chris Boucher does pose a threat to Achiuwa. This will be his second game back from injury. Miles Turner, questionable for the Pacers. If he's back, we don't have to worry about the guessing game of Isaiah Jackson and Goga Bitadze. If he is out, we still have to worry about it. And Jae'Sean Tate, questionable to make his season debut with the Rockets. If he's back, I expect him to cut into the minutes of the secondary Rockets options a bit, but probably not have much of an impact on the guys like Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, and Jabari Smith that we are most interested in playing.